Alright, this is what we do when we install a helical pier to stabilize the foundation. This is a cutout of the way an actual house looks after the helical is installed, but I'll try to show you what we do from the beginning. From here down is going to be below the dirt now, which you won't see. And so we expose the footer, which is the concrete that the block and the house actually sits on. Once we expose the footer, we actually notch it out so that once we put our helical in and our bracket fits directly under the load. So what happens, this is what we talk about when we talk about the helical. This is the helix. We typically use a double flight helix. It'll have a flight here and a flight here. The flight on the bottom will be smaller than the flight on the top. We usually use an 8-inch on the bottom, a 10 on the top. Once we've got the footer exposed, we've got it notched out, we'll drill the helix down to bedrock or to a competent soil to where it can't go any further. Once we do that, this is the bracket that slides on and turns and fits underneath the footer so that it's underneath the load of the home. This is what's called a T-bar, and what the T-bar does is slides down over the helical so that you can put something on here to be able to jack it up. So once we put the T-bar over the helical, everything's tied together, and we put a lifting device on it like this here with a jack in the middle. Now this is not the actual jacks that we use. We use a lot bigger jacks, but this is for illustration purposes. So once we've got the jack on here, the lifting head, and everything's connected with the helical to where it can't move, we're going to actually start to put hydraulic pressure on here, and we're actually pushing down. But because the helical can't go down, it's going to bring the house up. So this is a demonstration of what happens once we've got everything tightened, everything ready to go, and we start jacking it, and you'll notice the cracks. Once the house is coming up, the cracks will close back up. Once that happens, you tighten these down, everything's tightened up, this lifting head comes off, the jack comes off, all this stays underground, and you got a nice pretty house put back together. Once it's put back together, if there's any seams left, typically we'll take the mortar out before we even start in the cracks, and we do that so that it'll lift, so that it'll close. You know, if we got mortar in between the cracks, we can lift your house to the moon, but if there's mortar in there, the cracks won't close. So that's how we do it.